guys, what's up? It's Olivia. Long time no see. So as you can see, I am in my new filming area. I am back at home in California, and so I needed to get a place where I could film that had Disney in the background. So here's a ton of stuff from my various college programs. So hope you enjoy seeing that. I also have new lighting, a new tripod, so the angle and the lighting, I'm still working on all of that. But anyway, today I thought it'd be fun to do another reaction video. So we are going to be reacting to 10 strange requirements to be a Disney princess. I posted it on my community tab on my channel, and you guys seem to want me to respond to it. So once again, I will say that I was a character performer at Walt Disney World for about 4.5–5 months on my Disney college program in fall 2016. I was not cast as a princess, but a lot of times this is just more character performer stuff in general. So I'm coming at this from a character performer, entertainment, I'm kind of in the know perspective. There may be things that I'm not familiar with, and if I'm not sure about it, I will let you know. So hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up. Let me know who your favorite princess is in the comments below. I love Rapunzel and Anna. Those are my favorites. So let us get started.
For many little girls, growing up and becoming a Disney princess is a dream come true. And every year, hundreds of those grown-up girls try out for the part. Most of the time, they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. Would you believe that Disney princesses have to deal with creeps hitting on them while keeping a smile on their face? Sounds...
Do you believe that every female has to do that?
Physical requirements. If you want to be a Disney princess, you have to actually look like one. But looks alone aren't enough to get you hired. You have to have a particular body type as well as height. More than one person is working as the same character at the park at any given time. Because of that, these ladies need to be...
I hate that they say that because just whole character integrity and all of that stuff. But yes, of course, it's entertainment. You have to have a certain height and body type. Yeah, if I don't look like or have the same body type as Jasmine, then I'm not gonna get cast as Jasmine. So it's just like all entertainment roles. You need to look a certain way because they need to fill a certain part.
Able to switch in and out of the same costumes and also look the same as one another while doing so. To achieve this, Disney has put height and weight restrictions on the actresses who play princesses. For characters like Rapunzel, Cinderella, Snow White, and Jasmine, that means actresses should be between 5'3" and 5'7". Apparently, Mulan is shorter because she has a whole height class of her own, which is between 5'2" and 5'6".
So the height requirement thing, I believe I've addressed this before, but yes, when you go on the Disney Auditions website, it will say specifically, we are looking for female performers ranging from 4'10" to 5'1.5". We are looking for people to bring to life characters from Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and the Fairies and Alice in Wonderland. Right, so it doesn't straight up say you're auditioning for Tinkerbell, Alice, and Wendy, but it gives you an idea. And this, like they said, there are multiple performers for each part, and so it really just depends on how tall or what the other girls look like who have been casted for that specific part. So even if you look exactly like Princess Elsa or Queen Elsa, if you don't look like the other girls who are also friends with her and also hanging out with her, then you're not going to get cast for the role. So the height thing is variable. It depends on the season. It depends how many girls they have auditioning. It depends on who they already have hired. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not the exact height, don't worry, because it's variable and they'll measure you how they want you to be measured.
Tallest of the princesses is Tiana, and girls wanting to play her must be between the height of 5'5" and 5'8". Height isn't the only factor that goes into choosing who gets to be a Disney princess and who doesn't. Disney actually discriminates against ladies of a certain size. The largest dress size Disney allows its princesses to wear is a size 10, which is well below the national average dress size for American women.
I don't know about that. Again, like I'll say, in entertainment, you know, like Ariel looks a certain way, Jasmine looks a certain way. I think they are starting to become more aware of it. Obviously, we're in the 21st century now, but it's, yeah, I don't know for sure how high the dresses go, but I know that Disney sizing is different than regular sizing, if that makes sense. So again, it's just an entertainment thing. You gotta look like the character that you're hired to hang out with and bring to life.
Age limit. Yes, if you're a woman of a certain age, you probably have no shot at being a Disney princess. This shouldn't be all that shocking considering the real ages of the princesses in their films. Snow White is supposed to be a 14-year-old, and Jasmine is really a 15-year-old. Pretty crazy, right? Thanks to child labor laws, hiring actual 14 and 15-year-olds to play these princesses is actually illegal. So Disney has some age requirements when it comes to hiring their Disney princesses.
18?
For instance, you must be at least 18 years old. This seems like a no-brainer,
Like any
but
job?
it means these actors have to be actual adults. The oldest an actress can be is 27 years old. It's believed that most of the actresses are between 18 and 23.
27 years old, I mean, I think it depends on how you look, right? So I've mentioned this before in other videos, but a lot of times this is a really fun job when you're in your early 20s, and then once you get into your later 20s, you're just looking for something else in life, whether it's starting a family or getting a different job, maybe being more in charge rather than being on the front lines and performing yourself. So it's not like they look at your birth certificate and are like, you're 26 and 364 days, this is the last day you get to perform with us. No, typically people are done anyway. And yeah, it depends on how you look. So if you're 23 but you're a heavy smoker and you look 50, you're probably not going to get cast as a princess. So again, all about entertainment in general, like the entertainment industry. So none of that should be, you know.
Which means they're all probably going to college while working there. Ex-princesses
A lot
have
of them
confessed
are.
to sticking around after the age of 23, only to be forced out when they're 27. Sadly, it does make sense when you look at it from the perspective of Disney. How is someone nearing their 30s going to play a 16-year-old like Princess Aurora? Audition process. Thanks to the internet, the world finally knows just how grueling the audition process is to become a Disney princess. Before you even act, you're sized up against your competition. Did you know that it's actually better if you look like other girls at the audition? This means that all of you might get the part because they need several girls for the roles they're trying to fill. This also means you might get cut before you even show off your talent. If you're too tall or too unique looking, you might have to...
Yeah, I have a whole video about my face lookalike audition experience down at Disneyland, and first of all, they're like, oh, it's better if you look like other girls. Every girl, like, looked super similar in that audition anyway because they cast for a specific height, they have certain times for specific heights, and I knew for when I was going to it, they were looking for Wendy, Alice, and Tinkerbell lookalikes, and so everybody, like, we all looked really similar. We all had pale skin, we all pretty much had naturally blonde hair and blue eyes. But in that video I talk about the audition process, and I didn't even make it, like, literally by the time the audition was supposed to start, like technically on the time she was supposed to start, like 10:30, I was already done with the audition. They have you line up and you go up and you say your name, you get put in these lines, you say your name, and they look at you, and if you're not what they're looking for, they say thank you, have a good day, and then they might keep several girls for later. But yeah, the audition process, you're not necessarily going to perform and get to show your dance skills or your acting skills or whatever. For my Disney College Program audition, we were actually really lucky because there were so few people there that they decided to just skip the first round. They usually have an original round, like a first round, and they cut people after that, and then they take your height and your picture and then teach you the longer dance routine and have you do the animation. There were so few people that we actually got to cut straight to taking your height and your picture and then doing the longer dance routine. So it really just depends on how many people are at the audition, what they're looking for. There's a lot of variables that go into the Disney entertainment audition process.
To go home. If you're one of the lucky few who stays, prepare yourself for some back-breaking hours ahead of you.
They can be like 8 hours long.
First, you must learn a simple dance routine, which can take hours for everyone to learn and perform. For ladies who make it past this round, you're finally able to show off your acting chops. At this level, you'll perform a script, as well as some improv. Anyone making it past these rounds move on to the personal interviews. You'll most likely be asked who your favorite Disney princess is at some point during the interview, but that doesn't mean you'll get to be her.
I don't know about that whole interviewing process because it is a different audition process for Disney World versus Disneyland. I know my friends who are in the college program who were cast as face performers didn't have a say at all. They didn't have a personal interview, any of that stuff. Again, that was for the Disney college program. I'm not sure if all look-alike characters actually do need to do a dance portion in their audition. I could see why, because they want to see if you have parade potential, but yeah.
So if you came in having the hopes of being Elsa, don't get upset if you end up being cast as Cinderella. Training. If you think the audition process was crazy, just wait until you hear about the Disney Princess training. Every face character must first go through fur character training. That means...
Can I just say real quick, I hate that they say fur character, because the only time I've ever heard that phrase is on YouTube videos. I never heard that working in Disney entertainment. I never heard it from face performers. I never heard it from fur performers. The only time I have ever heard fur character is on YouTube. So at least in Disney World Entertainment as of 2016, that is not something that I heard literally ever. But obviously what they mean is you don't start off with hanging out with Cinderella on day one. You're gonna learn the character basics first.
Princesses must learn to be Minnie Mouse or another fur character. They must do 3 days of learning the movie and signature, then 2 days of greeting guests in character. After that, princesses are given 3 days to...
Again, I don't know if they're talking specifically about face or regular performer training. In regular performer training, we didn't watch movies or anything like that. You do have to read up and study on the character that you're going to bring to life, but we didn't watch a movie or anything. But I know there is like accent training and things like that for face, so I think that's pretty cool.
Fully become their face character.
Also, I'm going to tell you right now, if someone's hanging out with the princess, they're not hanging out with Minnie Mouse.
This means they must eat, sleep, and breathe the person they were cast as. Ladies must study their princess and her movie so thoroughly that they can recite it word for word and in accent if they have one. In that time, they also have to learn how to do their own hair and makeup. Once again, because several princesses are working at any...
Yeah, so it's really cool. They have an area called cosmetology, and that's where they have the wigs, and they do the princess's makeup and all of that stuff. And so for your first couple of times, they are going to do it for you, and then after that, you're expected to know how to do the makeup. So it's pretty cool. I've been in cosmetology before, and it's like a very magical place.
Time, all of their makeup must look the same. You can't have one Elsa walking around with purple eyeshadow while another one is wearing green. It just won't fly with Disney. Not only do you have to look the part, but you also have to act the part. Princesses need to nail their characters' mannerisms, voice inflections, and even be able to write their signature. Sounds like a lot to take on in just 5 days if you ask us.
It is a lot to take on in 5 days. Even, again, going back to my just performer experience, I had to practice the autographs and the signatures so often, so much. I have a notebook from my first program where the entire way on the bus ride there, I was just practicing. In between every set, I was practicing. On the way home, I was practicing until I got it perfect, because it is a lot, especially in certain height ranges. There might be several characters that you are asked to perform as, and so you have to learn about each specific character, about how they write their signature, if there's anything extra they write on their signature. And so I personally practice all of the time, even like outside of work. So yeah, it is a whole lot to learn in 5 days. However, I will say, like, right, if you're auditioning for Disney, if you're auditioning to be a Disney princess, most likely you have an idea of who you might look like, and you probably have all the movies memorized anyways. So unless you're like brand new Elena of Avalor coming out before her show has even come out, that would be difficult. But you know, for most princesses, you probably have an idea of who they are already.
Battle the weather. Have you ever heard the saying, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen? Well, if you can't stand the heat, don't sign up to be a Disney princess. The weather at Disney parks can be so intense that actors are...
Don't sign up to be a Disney cast member if you can't handle the heat.
...warned about it before they even audition. That means these princesses have to battle some of the most extreme weather conditions and look good doing it. If you aren't lucky enough to be someone like Cinderella, who usually works inside, you're subject to some pretty long outside shifts. It isn't unusual for princesses to work 45-minute shifts with 15 minutes of rest in between. The hotter it is, the more rest they get. If it's above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, princesses can work as many as 30 minutes with 30 minutes rest in between. But that's just when it's hot. Considering Disney parks are open year-round, princesses also need to be able to handle the cold weather.
Yeah, so we do have sets, they're called, so you have like 8 sets a day. You'll be, again, it's different for face, so this is for regular performer. You'll be on for 45 minutes, off for 45 minutes, on for 45, off 45, on for 30, off for 30 kind of thing. When it is really, really hot outside, you'll do like 20 minutes outside, 40 minutes inside, because that is how long it takes for you to actually get cooled off and for your body temperature to go back to normal. You are sweating like crazy. I was an attendant for Snow White one day, and then for Jack and Sally another day, and so trying to remember if they were like 45 minutes or if it was like an hour 15 and then like off for an hour 15. It also depends, I will say, on if, like, you know, Snow White at Germany, it's one performer the whole day. So she will be out for a certain amount of time, go back, rest for a few minutes, come back out. Whereas there are other ones like Princess Fairy Tale Hall, where a performer might be out for hour 15, hour and a half, and then another performer will come and switch to their hour and a half. So those breaks are longer. So it depends on how many performers there are that day.
Being Pocahontas or Jasmine isn't all it's cracked up to be. These two have the smallest of the princesses' outfits, and we doubt Disney would give creature-loving Pocahontas a fur coat to stay warm. Keep your lip.
They do have winter gear though. Like Pocahontas and like everyone who's outside does have winter gear. If you ever go on and watch Disney meet and greets on YouTube, I used to love doing that. Watch like Tinkerbell and Alice at Disneyland. They do have stuff to cover up with. There are like winter overlays for when it is a certain temperature outside.
Sealed. Much like the movie Fight Club, those who work at Disney don't talk about Disney. This is one of the #1 rules when you're hired. It's so intense that you aren't even allowed to tell your friends and family which character you play.
That's false. So, because I've been asked that in training, because I had, you know, watched all these videos and was like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell my family who I play. They're like, no, you can tell your family. Like, you can tell your family that. It's no big deal. Obviously this advent of social media, this new media technology that is out has changed the game quite a bit. Before you couldn't just say on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter who you're hanging out with that day, what character you're bringing to life that day. Now you can, and a lot of full-timers or people who work there do that. They use a specific language, so they're not like, I am Cinderella or whatever. When I worked there, I did not do that just because I didn't want there to be any reason why I could get fired. So I stayed away from the social media while I was actually hired to be a performer. Obviously now I don't. But you can tell your parents, you can tell your family. I mean, obviously don't tell your family if they got like big mouths or whatever, but I told like my parents, my sister, I told my best friends, my roommates knew who I was hanging out with. They could see my schedule hanging up on the wall anyway. So yeah, you're just not supposed to go out into the world and be like, hi, I'm Cinderella, haha. Like, no.
You're especially not allowed to hint at a world outside of the Disney realm. That means if a princess has friends or family coming to the park, they must pretend like they don't know them.
Yeah, that's true. So you can't say, hi mom, hi dad when they come in. You can get all excited and talk to them or whatever, but yeah, that should be obvious. You are acting, you're in a performer role, so you can't break character.
That's right. No special treatment for people just because they know you. They do get...
Although there might be special treatment in the fact that like you tell your attendant or photo pass beforehand like, hey, my family's visiting today, or hey, my roommates are going to come visit me sometime this set, and they might give you a little bit more time or be more gracious about taking pictures or things like that.
Free entry, though, which sounds like a fair trade, since princesses aren't allowed to talk about anything outside of Disney, which means no social media. There is no talk of Facebook, Instagram, or Snapchat. Princesses aren't even allowed to take selfies while they're decked out in their Disney wear. What's the point of being a Disney princess if you can't even post it to Instagram? Once you leave the park, you aren't allowed to talk about what happened that day, especially stories about the park's guests.
Again, follows every cast member. Every single job you have, you're going to talk about what happened during your day. You're not necessarily going to go on social media and be like, this is what this crazy guest did today when she met Belle at Epcot at 12:15 p.m. But you can, like, generally tell your friends and family, like, oh my gosh, you will not believe what this girl said to Belle today.
This can get a Disney princess into some pretty big trouble, and maybe even terminated. The only reason anyone knows all this is because the ladies who reveal these secrets are ex-Disney princesses. Emphasis on the ex part, improv skills. If it's a part of the audition process, then you better bet improv skills are needed to be a Disney princess. These girls run into hundreds of people a day, and that means they'll have hundreds of random conversations. While usually these ladies have a line or two memorized to say, there are also times that they get some pretty crazy questions. Did you know that cast members at Disney aren't allowed to say I don't know to people?
That's false. Disney cast members are allowed to say, I don't know. I've said that a lot. I'm like, I'm not sure about that. Let me go grab my captain and get the answer to that question for you. So you can say that, but if they're like, Nikki, where's Pluto? What's Pluto doing today? You can't be like, I don't know what Pluto's doing. You have to be like, I don't know, whatever. He's eating, he's playing at the skate park with Max, whatever. So for those kind of questions, like, no, you can't be like, yeah, I don't know what Merryweather's doing today. Probably turning something blue. You have to actually, like, have an answer for that.
That means if a guest asks a princess a question, they have to answer it, even if they don't know the real answer. This can lead to some pretty embarrassing situations and even a few lies. But because these ladies are experts at improv, they keep their guests on their toes. One ex-Mulan cast member had to dodge the question of whether she spoke Chinese or not by telling guests she had a bet with Mushu to not speak Chinese that day. Sounds like some pretty quick thinking on her part, wouldn't you say? Princesses also aren't allowed to point with one finger, so they have to come up with some unusual gestures when trying to...
I feel like we've addressed this before and someone actually had answered in the comments, so I'm going to try to find the comment and put it here. But as performers, your rules are a little bit different, so maybe automatically Belle or Rapunzel, whatever, will point with two fingers just because that's the Disney cast member way, but the rules aren't the same on that for performers and entertainment and regular cast members.
Give directions. Pay attention to this.
Also, Disney princesses are not giving directions. They might say something like, Weather and Flora and Fauna planted these flowers today, and oh, they're pink right now, Flora must be winning, whatever. But again, we've talked about this before. They're not like giving you directions to the bathroom.
Next time you're at a Disney theme park, don't forget to smile. There are thousands of guests roaming through Disney parks every single day. Thousands of visitors mean thousands of cameras. Because of this, Disney princesses need to keep a smile on their face at all times. And since they're talking with nearly 200 guests per hour, they have to keep things moving. If they don't, it could mean getting fired. In fact, if a Disney princess is giving one guest too much of their time, they'll get written up. If they do this 4 times, they're out the door.
I don't know specifically about this. I just know that typically if you're not meeting the requirements of how many guests you're supposed to be meeting per hour, at every location they do have an expectation of, like, you're meeting 245 guests per hour or you're meeting 150 guests per hour. Like, it depends on a lot of things, the location, and if it's like just Cinderella or if it's Cinderella and Prince Charming meeting together, then those time requirements are going to be different. But typically your captain or your leader will come up and be like, hey, just so you know, you need to pick it up a little bit. But just because it's your first week and you're still learning, they're not going to fire you on day one for being a little bit too long. And the good thing, what I really did like about entertainment was I felt like for the most part, people wanted to help each other out. And so if you just told them, hey, I'm new, for example, at a character dining location, for like, hey, I'm new, I don't quite have this rotation down yet. And by rotation, I mean the order in which you see all the tables. Sorry, I think it's blue now. But if you only get through like half of what you're supposed to, the other performer can usually pick up the pace and help you out with that. So it's a good environment. They're not gonna like fire you day one because you didn't go fast enough.
This seems like a lot of pressure, especially since they have to keep a smile on their face and not seem stressed out. And because everyone is smiling all the time, princesses need to make sure that they take care of their teeth. That means
Well, sure.
they may use whiteners and avoid food and drinks that can stain their teeth, like coffee and soda.
I don't think there's any princess avoiding coffee. Any performer avoiding coffee.
We aren't sure who could deal with screaming kids all day long with no coffee, especially with a smile plastered on their face. Our hats off to these ladies because that sounds...
That being said, you do have to make sure like your breath doesn't smell like coffee. Or another thing is you're not supposed to wear like perfume, like super strong perfume, because you never know if someone's allergic to it or has a sensitivity. And then again, if you meet Cinderella in the morning and she smells like your favorite Bath and Body Works scent, and then later she smells like Daisy by Marc Jacobs, like you're gonna be, what's going on, Cinderella? So yeah, that's another little tidbit of information.
What can be even more intense is the first few weeks of pain that come with being a Disney princess.
Oh, like
These
physically?
girls will smile so much that they will literally be in pain at the end of their shifts. Luckily, it goes away over time.
But yeah, it's just building up muscle, obviously. The good news is if you're gonna be a performer, there's a good chance you've already had experience, whether it's acting, performing, cheerleading, so you're already used to having a smile on your face for a long amount of time. Of course, doing it straight up talking to people for an hour and a half, 5-6 times a day is going to be a change. And then physically it is really tough on your body being a performer at first while you're building up all those muscles. The costumes fit a certain way, the shoes might be a certain way that you're not used to, there might be a certain, weight in places, so your body has to build up and get used to it.
There will be creeps. If there's one thing
No
every
duh.
future Disney princess should know, it's to brace themselves because there will be creeps. Disney seems like it should be the land of families and happiness, but sometimes creeps can slip through the cracks. One
Go watch this video right here.
record. That's right. If you want to be a Disney princess, you better have a clean rap sheet. One of the first steps to working at Disney is passing a background check. So if you've been arrested, it's probably best to let them know the story.
Like any job, they're going to do a background check. On the first day when you get at least to your Disney College program, you have something called casting, and you go and they take your social security number, which you've already done a ton of paperwork online before you even show up there, but they take your social security number again, like your driver's license information. You have to give your fingerprints and they run it through whatever system. So yeah, they want to make sure you're a good, normal person.
Did any of these Disney princesses...
That's it? Okay. I don't really think those were strange requirements. I think it was kind of like we've covered. It's just entertainment and regular working at a place, they're gonna do your background check. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video. That'll probably be the last one I do in terms of Disney princess requirements, because I feel like they're starting to get a little bit repetitive now, but I do think there was some new info in that. So let me know below what your favorite little tidbit of information was, if there's anything new that you learned. So yeah, if there are any other reaction videos you guys would like me to react to, tell me the title or the keyword also in the comments below. I'm thinking about doing one on just Disney cast member secrets in general, see if they're actually secrets or not. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. Keep dreaming out loud, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!